Proud of our Liberian people for exercising their democratic rights in a peaceful and responsible manner during the first round and subsequently the runoff for the 2023 elections. We should feel very proud of ourselves for coming this far while maintaining our peace. We must also acknowledge the efforts of the National Elections Commission and the support of our partners, including ECOWAS, the EU, the US, and other donors, for standing by our people to help support and sustain our fledgling democracy. I speak today firstly as a patriot, a Liberian who wants the best for us as a people, as we all work towards a better future for our children. We are a people still struggling to overcome the effects and trauma of a brutal and fratricidal context from which we have never reconciled or healed. We are a traumatized people, which, in spite of our tough exterior, are fragile and vulnerable. This is why, despite my loss, I chose to remain neutral, but not neutral in that sense, but on the sidelines, engaged and fully involved in the process to protect LIB votes, a self-funded citizens initiative that ensured that we monitor elections and participated fully. Very important that I also speak as a Liberian with both experience and expertise on the matter of elections and post-elections violence. And my goal is to emphasize the importance of maintaining post-election peace and stability of our beloved Liberia. I remain the only one in our current body politics today with this unique experience. I know this so well, and the signs are too familiar. Having proven leadership in similar contexts, it's clear that the triggers for conflict exist in our environment, and our statements, our reactions, and actions of many political players could activate those triggers into real problems that will spiral out of control into a full-blown conflict. We don't want this to happen. I introduced the concept of protecting the votes in our Liberian politics earlier this year in July, and it is very important that I clarify that protecting the votes does not and was never intended to include violence. It is to ensure that the outcomes of our elections represent the will of our people. I have worked with many groups, I've traveled across the country and engaged people of all political persuasions, including candidates and stakeholders, with a view of sending the loudest and clearest message that our post-election peace and stability is best protected and safeguarded if these elections embody the truest desires and aspirations of the Liberian people. I'm working hard for this and humbly appealing to all of us, to all parties, to avoid all forms of provocation and to seek to address all electoral-related challenges peacefully. And we are employing NEC to speedily and transparently handle all electoral grievances quickly and efficiently to make sure that there is feedback. We are aware that many conflicts in Africa are triggered by post-election disputes, and we are not willing as a people to revisit or relive our dark, violent days. No matter the provocation and the grievances, we must approach everything peacefully, orderly, and ensure that we go with the rule of law. In the next few days, I will continue to engage stakeholders to create urgency and to continue to speak about how we own our results and take responsibility for our peace. We must all invest in this process. By doing so, we are investing in the stability of our families, our livelihood, the future of our children, and our beloved Liberia. Everybody wants jobs, and Liberians are crying for jobs. But jobs will not be produced by government. Our view of government being the sole and primary source of jobs is wrong. The private sector must become the largest employer if Liberia must prosper. But for that to happen, we must build external relationships and create the internal environment for investors to be interested in Liberia. Nobody will come to invest in Liberia if we plunge into chaos and war. Good citizens of Liberia, as we anticipate the final results from the National Election Commission, I urge both the presidential candidates and their supporters to remain calm and composed. This is very important that all of us demonstrate leadership wherever we find ourselves. In light of the current situation, I kindly appeal to all citizens to refrain from parading the streets of Monrovia today and refrain from celebrations. This is not a time for us to divide ourselves and show numeric strength, but for us to have deep reflections around where we are headed as a people, regardless of the outcome. Regardless of the outcome, whoever is elected president of Liberia will be president for all Liberians, not for a party, not for a tribe, not for a county, but for all Liberians. And all Liberians want peace. I emphasize the importance of putting Liberia first. Our nation's progress and prosperity rely on our ability to come together, to work together, to respect one another, and to prioritize the greater good for our people. I pray that peace will prevail in Liberia, and I pray that both contenders for our presidency continue to show us that we must come together in unity and love for fellow Liberians, because when you're president for Liberia, you'll be my president, you'll be every tribe's president, you'll be every county's president. And what we need is to understand that we are divided right now, strictly divided down the middle. And for us to move forward, we must be united. And only in unity will Liberia prosper. Only in unity will Liberia grow. Only in unity will Liberia thrive. So if we keep dividing ourselves now, it will be very difficult for us to come together. The time for us to come together is now. And we cannot continue to move forward in a broken and divided way. I love Liberia as you do. I know all Liberians love Liberia, but we must love Liberia first, not second, third, or last. God bless you.
Any questions?
We are proud of our Liberian people for exercising.
Yes, so I have two questions. You mentioned that there are several triggers of violence. You care to mention those triggers of violence you point to on the surface? Maybe you want to go in depth. Secondly, your political party, the African Liberation League, and the Liberia National Union, along with the collaborating political parties, are among three political parties that wrote the National Elections Commission for a forensic investigation of ballot papers. And I don't know whether coincidentally, but all three of you said you would be neutral going towards the second round. Was a consensus reached by the three of you to be neutral? Mr. Bezana Cummings and the political leader of Liberia National Union, including you. Was there a consensus?
So first, thank you for the question. So firstly, on the issue of triggers, where you have deep divisions, where you have historical issues that have not been resolved, such as our transitional justice processes, we never completed our truth and reconciliation process, and people do not feel as though they have had an answer for all of the issues that they feel they faced, or we all face as a people from our conflicts. With those unresolved issues, with the current divisions we have had and the current divisions we see, and a lot of the vices of tribalism and so forth, these are very, very, very clear triggers that if they were activated, if they were further built upon, that we could see ourselves plunging into violence. And of course, there are definitely electoral disputes around the electoral processes and so forth. So it is important for us to recognize where we are as a people and where we could go if we do not manage ourselves responsibly. And that's what I would like to stress, is that we have been managing ourselves responsibly for the most part. We've been trying very hard. We need to congratulate ourselves for how far we've reached. But if we do not continue that, what's going to happen is that we're going to go off into violence, which we do not want as a people, we do not want as a country. So it's important that we continue the same posture we have had all this time. And we did this. Nobody did it for us. We went to the process peacefully. We went to the polls peacefully. We came back home peacefully. We went to a second round peacefully. So we have to continue on that same pathway. It's us. Nobody else can do it for us. The second question you asked is around the
forensic investigation
we sent to NEC. The letter sent to NEC was asking for us to look at all of the processes of the 2023 elections to ensure that we understand gaps, weaknesses, and so forth, so that we strengthen the electoral system for forthcoming elections. And it's important to know that we have many electoral recommendations made from previous elections that have never been implemented. And so it's for us to look at our system holistically so that we strengthen it going forward. We need electoral reforms, and this will inform electoral reforms. The position I took is different from everybody else's. I've been very clear about it. In fact, when I was speaking, I can say that I think I misspoke, because when I use the word neutrality, I want to clarify what that means. My position is different from everybody else. In these elections for November 14th, we had one candidate from CDC, we had one candidate from Unity Party, but we also had a third constituency, which is the Liberian people. And often when we go into these kinds of runoffs, people take one of the two candidates and never think about how they can be involved with the Liberian people. I chose not to sit on the sidelines, not to be neutral from the standpoint of being, non-involved. I got involved. I got involved by saying that I wanted to be on the side of Liberian people to participate actively, and I initiated Protect LIB Votes. We have monitors monitoring the elections. I was at precincts monitoring myself, and I was very, very involved. I could not take one side or the other of the two candidates if I wanted to play that role, and that role was necessary, and I'm happy that I did play that role. It hasn't been done before in our politics, and I think it's something that we need to see more and more of as we move forward. For change to come, we have to do things differently, and so I chose to do things differently. It was not an agreement between me and anybody else. It was a unique position that I took. I should add, though, that another presidential candidate joined me. Robert Morris joined me, and we, together with citizens, many, just common citizens, street vendors, and so forth, we made up the Citizens Movement Protect LIB Votes during these runoff elections.
Just a follow-up, please. Just a follow-up. My name is Aaron Kuban, in case from Stone TV. When you talk about the Protect LIB Vote, there are other institutions that went in to observe this process. They've come up with preliminary findings as it relates to how they saw the election. Should we expect in the coming days your institution coming up with observation, or you care to just comment on what you observed during the process? Because I know you went to the process to have a first-hand information to come out to the public to tell us what exactly you see. Secondly, on the issue about your neutrality, there are some who believe that when political parties or presidential candidates go into an election, especially the first round and second round, if they do not endorse one of the sides, it is about them and not the others. They believe that such a people only want it for themselves. It is not them, then it should not be the other. What would you say to such a view?
I would say it's a wrong perspective, wrong thinking, because if it was about me, I wouldn't have taken my money and spent it to bring citizens together to monitor the elections. I was not on the sidelines. I was not sitting at home saying I'm not getting involved, I'm not being, engaged. I got fully engaged, and I self-funded it because I care about the Liberian people. As a patriot, I felt it was important for us to change the way we do business. Our politics have been so divisive, and our politics have always been about self, endorsing somebody for what I would get out of it. No, I wanted to be on the side of Liberian people to say, whatever your vote is, I want to support you so that your voice is heard. And that is being engaged. So neutrality means you are totally outside of everything. You don't want to be involved at all. I was fully involved. And I did this not as an event. I did it as something to start a process of citizens movement to be involved in our politics in a way that changes what politics is about. Look, our politics have not resulted in development of Liberia because of the way we handled it. We make it about individuals, we make it about who you like and which color you're wearing. It's never about the issues and how we transform Liberia. It has to change. And what I did was demonstrate leadership in showing a different perspective, that it's possible to go into a process, come out of it, and jump on the side of Liberian people to say, together, let's make sure we have fair, credible, and transparent elections. That's what I did. And I hope more people will follow me in doing that.
On the issue about the observation of the election?
We were not in time in order to get the certification from NEC to be able to participate in the tallying. So in some precincts we were able to participate, in some precincts we weren't. But what we did was we had animations, we had voters education, and helping to reduce. I want to feel that we were part of the reasons why we had a reduction in invalid votes, but really helping to reduce invalid votes, really helping to reduce the intimidation that happens outside the precinct. A lot of our observers, we're trying to tell them who to vote for and so forth. We're able to mitigate that. So I hope for the next elections, Protect LIB Votes will go further in the three areas we hope to be working in, which is advocacy, capacity building, and then of course poll watching. So it's supposed to be a citizens movement. I started it, others came on board. I hope others will take it forward. It won't be about me, it'll be about us as a people and how we take responsibility for our electoral system and strengthening our democracy.
Okay, my name is Orita, I report for ECOWAS Radio. I just want to know regarding the issue of protect your vote. Did you achieve your goals?
So when this first started, initially, it started as a concept I came up with for parties to come together, for us to work together on protecting and safeguarding the votes of the Liberian people. That was how it started. And we signed an MOU in August in doing that. And it was about how we worked together in round one to make sure Liberian people felt, because there was a lot of voter apathy, a lot of reservations, and so I felt it was important to bring people together, to unify us in a way where we could let Liberian people know that we're all working together to strengthen our electoral system. After round one, most parties, or almost all the parties, 18 parties were out of the race, only 2 parties were left. I felt that the work doesn't stop here. Many parties felt that they wanted to endorse one side or the other. Many candidates felt they wanted to endorse one side or the other, and I was raising a flag to say, but there's another side here. It's Liberian people. How do candidates put yourself last and put the people first and get involved? Get involved, whether you're on the ballot or not. And so at that point, for those who chose to go to one candidate or the other, they went ahead. And for Robert Morris, he joined with me and decided, he will support me and will get citizens together. We work with the intellectual centers and others to monitor the elections. And for me, I think I feel so proud of that. I feel proud of that because this hasn't been done before in our politics. And transformation starts with one person. It starts with one act. And we can transform our politics and change the way it has operated over the decades. We can transform Liberia. And so this is all about Liberia's transformation.
Any other questions? If not,
Thank you.
thank you for coming and attending to this press conference. Thank you.